North American Counter-Strike is a lot like North American football. Despite the best efforts of the Europeans and, well, the South Americans, they still kind of suck at it. Now, they have managed to get the name right this time, but they still suffer from the same problems their footballing counterparts do. Despite having the population of a small continent available to them, they somehow don't have enough players. It makes assembling a truly elite roster from top to bottom a difficult feat, and then it makes it almost impossible to replace players when they do move on to bigger opportunities. All of these things make it so that compared to their stereotypically loud and enthusiastic style, the Yanks get really overexcited anytime they find a player worth talking about. Such is the case with Jaber. Thankfully, due to the topsy-turvy, whirlwind nature of the Counter-Strike space, the noise surrounding Jaber has died down a little bit. This gives me the perfect opportunity to jump in and examine some demos for you. Let's begin with a recap of what I picked up watching these demos, and then I'll throw in some full round breakdowns just to give a little more detail into what exactly I'm seeing. Firstly, Jaber's biggest strength is his ability to manage fights and angles. Many players have great mechanics, but taking the right fights at the right times and in the right places is always far more important. He's able to use his ability to outmaneuver opponents in the clutch, as well as use it to create trades and opportunities for himself on site takes, and also finally even just to create space for himself when he's anchoring a bomb site. Okay, this is a bit of a weird round. He's got the hero AK, and we're not really looking for anything other than his mechanics here. He's going to be asked to take some longer angles, hold for a fight, and see how he hits it. This is the control we want to see, the longer range engagements. Very clean, very easy. Okay, now looking for A contact. This is what you want to do. When you've got that hero AK, you've got pistols around you. Take advantageous fights where you can find them, and if you can't find them, if you're not trading, just take a 50-50 and rely on your mechanics. Which is what you did on the opening. Here we're looking for advantageous. Get his teammates out there distracting. Nice adjustment. There's the double. Not the cleanest spray, but solid. And he does lose the 1v2, but great adjustment on the first kill. Able to get the double. See a really impactful hero AK around here. Just a shame no one else could get anything done. And the CTs were in position. Immediately looking for that mid retake, mid clear. But over to B.
Bomb has been planted.
Just holding for the retake. Hoping someone slips, and they do, but Slow gets the frag. That's a nice shot. That's what we're talking about in terms of adjustment. That 180 crosshair basically exactly where it needed to be. Lovely. Now, many of his highlights come in late round situations, though I often found myself really wishing I'd see him in those situations more often. Quite a few rounds on the T side had the young rifler taking hard entry paths, leading the pack on really fast execs. Stanislaw seems to call these to really bail his team out when the T side gets stuck in the mud. It can be effective as Jaber's really sharp and he can make those quick entry flicks work. But I just feel like it's not quite making the best use of his talents. Yeah, here we see one of those faster plays. The money's not great. And Jabe's got a Mac 10. And he's not quite point on this one, but he's second man in. There's the counter molly. It's not doing any good. They do get the opening frags. But things, yeah, they fall apart. And we are going to need to see some more out of our young prospect. Perhaps that AK. So we've gone from hard entry Mac 10 towards the front of the pack, not the literal leader, but at the front, to an AK 1v2. Lovely shot on the first. Now he's looking for the last one. And he starts this little bait sequence where he's going to tap at the headshot angle, then pre-aim the right side swing over and over again. And there you go. What a lovely shot. And a bit of BM to boot. Okay, this round I believe is a faster A play with a double kill for Jaber. Maybe the speed of it I'm a little thrown off by, but it's definitely an A finish, an A exec. And I know he does get himself a couple frags, so get off the screen. That's one thing they should not have allowed to come back. Is just mouse just appearing on screen when you're watching demos. Yeah, slightly delayed exec after some early util. But there's this main split. Gets one, gets two. Again, he's a point man, but makes it work. On CT's side, he turns out to be a highly effective anchor, playing big solo sites and controlling the space quite effectively. This is one of his many transferable and scalable skills, making him really a prime candidate for upward movement in the scene in the coming months. Now, I noticed he does have a lot of really nice default util sets that he goes to and relies on, but then also we saw a few wrinkles of him throwing in aggressions or just alternate ways of approaching his bomb sites. It was an interesting diversity, but the true highlights really were those hard anchoring moments. Okay, this is the round. Yep, okay. Some early util that he uses to put a bit of pressure on the A lurker. This is the round. I accidentally prefaced it before in a different round, but move on from that. But yeah, this is the one where he kind of gets stuck and has to anchor the A bomb site in a really awkward spot. They do take this forward A main control, which is, if someone's coming his way, this is usually what they end up doing. But you see the mid player completely deserted, the mid split all the way in. So he smokes off in front of him, then gives himself an out, basically. A counter flash to try and create some counter play. And now he's got to try and get something done from main. That's one nice frag, steps back out. Great use of the timing. Good util, just solid fundamental play here. Nothing too crazy mechanically, but he did the best he could with the crappy situation he was in. Okay, we're looking for a defensive round here on the new CT side. Get my crosshair off screen game. And over the shoulder of a teammate, that's a nice shot. I'm not sure about the nade there, but they... nade's a bit questionable. But he hits the shot, yeah. Took the opportunity to reposition, catches out the last player. Solid. Okay, here we've got another round defending the A-bomb site. Sat up in heaven. We can see from the minimap that players are going to be wrapping through main. There's going to be a smoke to delay, and they're not sure what's open. Or what's actually being taken, rather. They know what's open. Heaven's definitely one of them. So James got his eye on that. Be interesting to see if he actually ends up having to adjust to both, because there does seem to be a heaven wrap coming. There's one. Teammate does help out. Gets tagged, but still gets another frag. Let's take a slightly deeper dive into his mechanics. Now, Counter-Strike starts with pistols, so we'll begin there as well. Jaber is actually very well known for his pistol play. When I first got exposed to him, started talking to people about Jaber, his deagle was what really was highlighted. And that was true as like his prime selling point in CSGO. When I watched his demos back then, he was almost guaranteed to get a kill or two with them. But in these demos in CS2, I'm noticing just general pistol play seems to be highly elevated. His pistol rounds especially were a standout, and he had some crazy highlights that, well, you're going to see a couple of them soon. They were absolutely filthy. Okay. Oh, what the fuck's my crosshair doing on screen? Pistol round. We're looking in this one for some clean taps, some angle manipulation, and maybe a good highlight. Playing pillar with support. It's a pistol round, so they do play it a little more A-focused. So look at these headshots. Hopefully a lot of them. Nice. Reloading, staying alive. Not the greatest hide, but does delay for the team. That's gorgeous. That's delicious. That's a great pistol round. You saw it in the first one, you know, got there eventually, but on the next two, oof, so clean. Okay, another pistol round. He's an A player, that's what we expect. Some very aggressive. Yeah, the T side have gone up towards B. That's a nice tap. Not got any audio, but we can see it. Well, there's another good one. See, look, his crosshair's just in the right place, ready to go. Reacts quickly to a hedge appearing. And that's a triple kill. This demo's a little bugged, a little bit older. But you get the idea. The praise for his aim, of course, extends to the rifles as well, where he had a really consistent first bullet in all manner of fights. He landed a lot of pretty shots in these maps, a good mix of close range and longer range engagements. What made me really believe in Jaber was the fact that he was explosive and then controlled in different moments as and when it was needed. Quite often you'll find players lean towards one extreme or the other, but Jaber switched between those extremes really comfortably, so I was quite impressed. CTs are close now, they're going to wait this out for the most part. But then try and get in as fast as possible. I believe this round ends with a rotation back to B and some AK fights. We'll see. There's the two M4 Mac 10 frags. Slightly botched nade. Now he's got to defend the plant, so this is essentially his job here. Get this bomb down, and then try to win the round out as well. There's one. A nice adjustment onto the final frag. They give up the they give up the space, and allow them to get him deep into CT. Oh, it's not a donut. It's not donut that you primarily come through. It is just CT spawn. And here we go. He's set up for this. That's a trade. Comes back out looking for more. Keeps it under control. Then he stays aware of the lurker. That's another kill. And the final kill is not in his hands, I don't believe. But he's done everything he needs to at this point. Stayed alive long enough for 3 kills. This round should be unlosable for a CT side. Overall, we're talking about a really high-level rifler with the addition of being an elite pistol player. There truly isn't anything to complain about on the mechanical side of things, and really his limitations going forward are not going to come from the mouse and keyboard. Now finally, the graphs are back. I saw some people ask for them, so I thought I might as well bring them back in a more helpful fashion. Let's start with the visual representation of his playstyle. Now the y-axis is basically a measure of how many early fights he takes on the T side, with the most aggressive being at the top. And the x-axis is his propensity for lurking versus anchoring on the CT side, with the most absolute rocks all the way on the left, and those who like to float around on the right. Jaber was pretty much anchoring on every round I watched, so I'm pretty comfortable with where to put him on this graph. He's all the way on the left, and he was very effective at it, so it made sense that that's what he was doing. Then on the T side, we saw a couple different looks, but I felt like he leaned more towards the pack play. There were a couple defaults where he was left solo out on an island, but those were few and far between. Most of the time, it was more of a group up and finish rather than a hard lurk that he'd go for, so I feel comfortable putting him slightly above the median on this one. Next up, his aiming abilities. Now, judging this can be very esoteric, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt, but I have given you some players in reference to kind of make it make sense. On the y-axis, we have an explosive ability, so how much a player's aim enables them to make the crazy adjustments, win the fights they shouldn't really win. And on the x-axis, we have a measure of a player's control. So this is where we're talking about crosshair placement, but also spraying and all these things that are a little less chaotic. Jaber scores pretty well on both. The sample sizes here are all limited, so take everything with a grain of salt. But I do feel comfortable saying that he was, overall, one of the more mechanically solid players I've ever watched. Perhaps his highs don't hit the extremes of some others who were just insane flickers, who really did have great variety in their peaks and troughs, but those peaks hit so high Maybe he's not that kind of guy, but when you want a player to just give you a solid level, he's going to give it to you mechanically, that's for sure. Finally, his current level versus potential. It's tough to really give him too much kudos on the current level because he is playing fairly low rated opposition, not the most organised styles of Counter-Strike. It can get a bit messy and a bit ugly, and I thought personally there were some things still holding him back. Some of it in his T-side playstyle may not be entirely up to him. I felt like we want to see more of him in a lurky sort of role. I feel like that's more his playstyle. And if he is going to be in the pack, I do want him trading. I don't want him taking the hard point. CT side play was far more polished. There were a couple little issues I had where maybe the trade timings weren't good on a push, or he wasn't too comfortable, taking that initiative on the CT side when they did lean towards this side of the map for that. But overall, I mean, with an anchor like this, you have to give him a lot of credit on the CT side. But overall, I can't give him much higher than a strong 3. But his potential is way higher than that. Now his ceiling, it depends on what kind of player he ends up being, so I do feel like we're going to see more evolution of his gameplay, especially on the T side. So when it comes to profiling who he's going to be like, it's a bit tough. But I'll give you a pick of Canadians. I'll say Naf, Twist, they're the 2 I'd want him to aim for. And I can't feel comfortable giving him straight 5 as his max potential, but in the strong 4s, definitely a player to watch out for if he does ever fulfill his potential. All in all, I think this guy is a vital part of the North American Counter-Strike system. He's going to be playing in these slightly lower ranked teams for a little while longer, but as soon as Liquid, Complexity start looking for upgrades, start looking to make really wholesale changes, they'll have a guy who's been grinding away, finding himself, and really developing his own unique style, because also, it's all well and good looking for guys who are very flashy, very explosive. There aren't too many who come through looking a little more polished and controlled. Maybe this could be the North American answer to a Yimfat. A young guy, plays these lurks, plays these anchors, but plays them at a really high level. We'll just have to wait and see. If you made it this far, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on Jaber and his potential within the North American scene. And as always, like if you enjoyed, sub if you want to see more. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.